What's up everybody, this is Rui Diaz Mio Sid with another mini tutorial where we're going to cover the use of the locate command and a couple of cool things to do with structure blocks. And essentially what I'm doing, just to show you guys, I'm creating a sky city where I am basically copying and pasting some structures in this world, and I'm using the locate command to find them. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and switch the perspective because I can't play in third person front. So there's that, and voila. What we're going to do is first take note of where we're at. That means writing down our current coordinates because this is the area where we're going to paste our structure. I am in 971, 76, 158. And that is where I will be coming back to. Essentially, what I'm trying to do is just find interesting structures around the Minecraft world, paste them in my sky city, and then modify them, which is just a later stage of my project. But right now we're just finding cool things and basically copying and pasting them here. Another cool thing you can do with this locate command is make a copy of your survival world, find things like the stronghold or buried or sunken ship, buried treasure, mine shafts, just any kind of a structure that could have loot, villages. And essentially you can use the coordinates that this command gives you to find them in your survival world without affecting your achievements. But let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and hit /locate. And when we do that, you'll see that it gives you a list of various different structures that you can find in this world. I'm going to try to find something that's easy to copy and paste up here for the sake of the tutorial. So we're really just going to find a village. So I'm going to go ahead and start typing that. And voila! The nearest village, according to this, is at 1,416, y coordinate unknown, and finally the z coordinate is 536. And it never gives you the y coordinate because it's more or less irrelevant. But you can. What I tend to do is always put in 100 because since it's the vertical coordinate, it's essentially just at what point on the horizontal. At what point, how high off the ground you're going to be. And I like to put 100 because that way I can always just end up floating above the structure. So now we're going to use the teleport command. This is one of those commands that's already readily available in the game. When you hit the / button, teleport, it's always, but you can always just type /TP, select your name, and then you type in the coordinates of where you're going, which in this case are 1416, 100, which is our filled in y coordinate, and then 536 as the z coordinate. After that, we're going to run that. Voila! And I have been teleported to this village floating above it. And as you can see, I've already been here laying out some structure blocks, but I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I want to show you what you do from scratch. And first of all, these structure blocks by default always tend to generate the structures that they've copied in northwest to southeast direction. That means that block, for it to work best, you always want to remember that that's how it's going to copy and paste the structure. And before we even get into that, let's actually give ourselves a structure block because you will not find it in your inventory. What you're going to do is type /give, and then you can type in your name, Rui Diaz Mio Sid in this case, or just @s for self, and we're going to type structure block. And voila, we now have one, and we're going to place it right here. As you can see, And just to show you that that is the northwest corner, I am going to trigger a sunrise. There we go. This is east, meaning over here is the west. And as you can see, the structure block is placed on the northwest corner of this structure. And it does offer the possibility of rotating it. You can basically change the orientation of the thing you're pasting, but it's useful to know what its default orientation is. So anyhow, getting that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get into the structure blocks interface. Make sure it's in save mode, and you have to name your structure. I'm going to call it my orange house, and I'm capitalizing every word. This is case sensitive, so just remember, if you don't capitalize the same way when you're trying to load the structure later on, it will not find it in your structure list. So just be mindful of that. I'm going to go ahead and modify the size of the bounding box. I usually, for something like this, I'm going to go with a 10 by 10 by 10. An important thing to remember with structure blocks is that you cannot, on the X and Z coordinates, you cannot go over 64 blocks. On the Y coordinate, you can go way above 64 blocks, but you cannot do it with any of the other coordinates. So as you can see, the bounding box should now be encompassing the entirety of the house, and we can get out of it just to see that it is in fact the case. So once again, we're going to get back in here. It's still named. I'm going to choose include entities. As you can see, there is a villager there, which if I turn this off will not be copied, but I actually want him to be copied. So I'm going to leave him there. Include entities here. This drop down, save in memory versus save to disk. The difference between the two is that saving something in memory only saves it for the current play session. If you save it to disk, you can use it in future play sessions. Of course, always in the same world. You can't export these to other worlds. At least not in my experience. I have tested it. It doesn't really work that way. But anyhow, we're going to choose save to disk. And now that everything is set, we can basically go ahead and hit save. So we're going to go back out here. And what we're going to do is teleport back to our original place. And what's important is to have your coordinates ready. You have to have the coordinates of the place where you came from, which is something I did. Let me go ahead and choose myself there. Where my coordinates of my home base, and you should have these written down somewhere, are 97176,158. So we're going to hit teleport, and this is the area where we were at initially. And again, this is something that you have to just take note of before you set out. What we're going to do now, since we're building a sky city, we're going to go ahead and place the structure block right here. As you can see, again, it is on the northwest corner, which I will demonstrate by triggering a sunrise. The sun is over there, that's east, and that is west, making this the northwest corner. So we have to go ahead and find the structure that we've saved. Well, we're going to go into load mode. Here we're going to type, maintaining the same capitalization, my orange house. We're going to go down. As you can see, the bounding box changed to the correct size, but we're going to hit load. There we go. And as you can see, the villager is still there. We're going to get out of the interface, and voila. The house is now floating in the air. One thing I would like to address, folks, to anybody thinking why not use the clone command, the reason is very simple. When you try to clone something that is not within the loaded visible area, that is the area that is visible before the distance fog overtakes the horizon, you cannot copy it. So anything basically that is you want to clone from beyond the distance fog is unclonable. And that is why structure blocks can be very useful. Like I said, the locate command that we use today is useful beyond this application because you can actually, like I said, make a copy of your survival world and simply find structures that you want to go raid, places where you can go find loot, and then actually find them on foot in survival while maintaining your achievements intact. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. I hope you can think of different ways you can use it. And I'm Rui Diaz Mio Cid, signing off. Laters.